Hi, it's Diane from Sew Boutique, and today I'd like to share with you a new project that we added to our website. It's called the Four Corners Table Runner and Coaster Kit. And I created this design with my sister in mind, actually. Her and her husband purchased, I think it was last year or maybe 2 years ago, this really great dining room table. And it's a dark wood and it has this kind of mission style look to it. And so I was thinking about this holiday gifts and decided that I wanted to create something for them that was unique to them. And so I came up with this table runner that measures 12 and a half to 13 inches by 42. And I think it's going to be a perfect size for their table. I also wanted to create coasters to go along with it and to kind of add to the theme of what I was attempting to do here. And the kit itself comes with, let me show you. You'll like this. It's a complete kit and it comes with the backing, binding, and all of the accent fabrics that are in the table runner itself are from 5-inch squares. And I included enough of the 5-inch squares to make 12 individual coasters to go with it. One of the 5-inch squares is used to make each one of the tiny 1-inch finished squares that are on the top of the table runner. Okay? In addition to that, we have pre-cut the background fabric for you because it's strips. We have 2.5-inch strips, 1-inch strips, and 1.5-inch strips. So you get the whole entire project in the kit, and it's on our website. You'll find the new project under the kits, the quilting kits section, which is the first row on our homepage. As well as we've featured it down below on the homepage under the quilting cottons section. So you'll be able to look at the project, see more detail, also see it displayed on a table. And I just really love how it turned out. And I hope that she does as well. And now that I've shared this, she's going to know what she's going to get for Christmas. But a little note about my sister is that she always seems to find out ahead of time anyway. So anyway, it's just going to be kind of fun. So I want to take you through, I'm not going to do the step-by-step of the actual project, but I want to show you a few things. And then I also want to show you how to make really fun and simple 5-inch coasters from 5-inch squares. And it's really kind of fun. Okay, I'm going to set this aside. But I want to show you something with the top of the table runner and to show also how simple it is. What I did with the pre-cut strips is we just have a sequence of those strips going across the front of the table runner. And there's 3 different strip sets that you make. And those strip sets are used twice in the table runner. And it's so simple. We put together a little guide in the pattern that shows how to cut each strip section and put it together. So you really enjoy this. It's fast, it's fun. It's my last project for fall, and I hope you enjoy it as well. I'm going to set this aside, and then let's go through the steps that I followed to make these really neat coasters. And again, we started with 5-inch squares, okay? So I'm going to do a little bit of a demo here. The 5-inch squares. Now, if you have fabric at home in your 5-inch square pack or you have extra 5-inch squares, definitely do this. I used fusible fleece as my batting or loft inside each one of the coasters as well. And I just found it easy to use the fusible portion of the fleece instead of using batting. I've tried it both ways, and I really like the fusible fleece. So what I did is I started with 2 5-inch squares and found my right sides or the preferred side and sewed around the perimeter of each square, leaving open a portion of one side so that you can turn this right side out. Here's one that I've actually sewn, and I hope you can see this okay. But it still has the little threads on it. But I started in about an inch from one corner and then sewed all the way around and then ended about an inch away from the opening here. Now, one thing to remember too is before we do anything with the fleece or before we do our next step is I want to make sure that I cut each one of the corners. We need to trim them and the threads themselves. So I'm going to set this down. Get rid of any excess thread. Just get it out of your way. There we go. I should have used bright red thread on the top of this. And then I actually, instead of just going across and clipping the edges, I actually will kind of curl around and get as close as I can to the threads on the corner. Like that. Okay. I guess I'm landing right on my table runner here. Now, we're going to take the fleece, cut your fusible fleece smaller than the stitch line that you have because we don't want to have any excess bulk inside the actual seam when we turn it. So take your fusible fleece. It's like about 4 1/4 or so square. And then we're going to iron that to one side of the inside of the coaster. Do that here real quick. And let these cool. I feel like I'm baking, but I'm really not. If you make all 12 of the coasters, you'll be able to stage these and streamline this so that once you're done with all 12 of them, the first one will be definitely cooled off just a little bit because you don't want it too hot to work with. Now, what I do is I try to get one finger, actually I'm going to do this with my left hand, one finger inside the corners and pull this out, okay? Pushing your finger into the corner at the same time. Do that with the 2 furthest corners and then flip the rest inside. Work each corner as best you can with your fingers. The other thing that I always did was I always like really roll the corner a little bit to get everything in the corners. Now, I use a seam gauge when I'm working with something this small and try to work only on the side that does not have the fusible fleece on it. So work into the corners so that you can get a pretty good point there and get the fabric as smooth as possible. Okay. Around to the next corner without poking through. And that's the importance of not getting too close when you cut your curves. And then just a little bit there. And if they're not perfectly square, no worries. So we're close. I'm going to put a little bit more effort into that one. And so now we have a coaster that has almost square points. The next thing we want to do is tuck that last seam back into the coaster. And we're going to press that in place a little bit. But first, I'm going to lay this on the table and make sure that my outer seam, and just run your seam gauge through here, or any sharp object that you have that just don't use a scissor. And run it right across each seam, and it really squares it off. And we'll cut that in one moment. Okay, so now we'll press this flat. I'm going to clip off that little piece of thread. Now we're ready to do any kind of quilting that you would like. I actually did a couple things. I'm going to show you. I did a simple square spiral quilting using my walking foot. And I started at the very edge and worked my way around. The first stitch line is about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge because we want to actually secure everything, flatten everything out, and close up that last opening. And then I just continued to do a spiral around each corner, turning as I went. You'll see on this particular coaster that I took a square of fabric that I had left over from my kit and did a little fusing on the back. I have one here, and took off that fuse and ironed it on the top of the coaster. Before I did any of the quilting. And it kind of gave a reverse look to what I was doing on the table runner itself, where everything here is a light background with 1-inch finished squares. So I took a 1-inch finished square that has fusible on it to try to do an accent on some of the coasters. So just have fun, play with it. You may want to use a spiral circle or just go and stitch back and forth and back and forth. However you want to complete your coaster, just make it yours. And so some of the coasters that I made to match the table runner don't have any additional accent on them, and some do. I think I did half and half. The other thing you can do is mix and match your 5-inch squares. They don't always have to be the same on both sides, so have fun with it. And I think it's a great way to wrap up a gift and put a big bow around your coasters and the table runner. And for me, I hope she really, really, really loves it, and I have a feeling that she will. So I hope you enjoy this project. It's on our website, and it's called 4 Corners Table Runner Kit with 12 matching coasters. And I believe it's on sale for $38. And again, it includes absolutely everything that you see: the backing, binding, pre-cut background, and coordinating 5-inch squares for coasters, and your accents for the table runner. We hope you enjoy.